Welcome to our service. The words for our chalice lighting are from the Abenaki leader, Big Thunder. The Great Spirit is in all things. He is in the air we breathe. The Great Spirit is our Father, but the earth is our mother. She nourishes us. That which we put into the ground, she returns to us. The words of Big Thunder, Abenaki leader. Thank you, Sharon. I'm so delighted that we are here today. And Julaine, if you would spotlight, Deb, if you would spotlight Charlie Megeso as well. Here, a few days after Thanksgiving, we are turning our attention toward Native American traditions. As you see my stole, we are universalists. We embrace the teachings of all the world's religions. And today we are focusing on my stole. It's symbolized by this one, the Native American traditions, which are varied. And here in Vermont, the Abenaki or Wabanaki, depending on different people pronounce it different ways. And we're so happy, Charlie Megeso, that you are with us today. Charlie is an Abenaki and an indigenous activist. He lives in Burlington, Vermont. He's been working for more than 30 years. He's done so much, including helping create the recognition of the tribal recognition, the federal government tribal recognition, and started a nonprofit working on Abenaki culture, which is in the Burlington area, which he'll tell us more about as the service goes on. So we're about to sing, or we're going to hear the Abenaki welcoming song, or the greeting song. So Charlie, you want to just give us a few words about, so we know what we're going to hear, and welcome aboard. We're so glad you're here.
The greeting song is a traditional Abenaki song, which is welcoming to usually people who travel between family groups or tribes, the ones who arrive. It is a greeting to them to let them know that they're welcome, that we're friendly, we're all the same people. It's a centering.
Excuse me. Super. Okay. So how about if everybody else mutes, and Julaine will do the screen share, and we'll hear it. Wonderful. Thank you, Julaine, for sharing that with us. Charlie, kwe.
Hey, kwe, Pakanawanan. I'm glad to see you all here. Tony DeLoynon. How are you?
Great. How do I say great in Abenaki? What would be a good response?
Great would be something like Gitsi Wanonini. Gitsi. Gitsi means great.
Itzi. Okay. Itzi. And how about you? Back at you.
Aho.
Super. Great. You want to teach us?
Aho means I agree.
Aho. I agree. Okay. Aho. So I'm so glad you're here with us. You want to teach us a few words? I greeted you by saying kwe. That just means hi, right? So you want to try it at home? Kwe. Teach us some words, Charlie.
What I'm trying to come up with is basically what I have in front of me. It's Pakawa no Goensaween. I'm glad to see you all here. Words such as thank you would be Oleone, Williani.
I'm going to try it. Oleone.
Nichi Lawini.
Ichi Lawini. So try it at home. Orioni. That means thank you, right?
Oleone means thanks.
Thanks. Orioni. Good word to learn on Thanksgiving weekend. Orion. Say it again.
Oleone.
Nichi
Lawini.
Itzi Lawini.
It means thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Oh, back to Itzi meaning great.
Right.
Itzi. Okay. Awesome. Great.
And that can be a greeting to an ending to a conversation, or it could be to what the situation is around you also. Thank you for this.
Orleone,
Oleoni, Weenie and Nitsi.
Winnie and Nitsi, Orleone, Winnie and Nitsi, okay. And where some of us are, the people are tuning in from all over, but where some of us are is Vermont. So tell us the word for Vermont.
The word that we use is Nadakana.
Nadakana. So try this at home if you want. Nadakana.
Nadakana.
And what does it mean actually?
Nadakana meant our homeland.
Homeland. Nadakana.
Culturally, we didn't have the concepts of settlers in terms of boundaries between towns, states, and countries. It was a place where we resided. It was a term that placed us in a particular area that we regarded as our homeland, just like you would say your mother or your father. This is where they reside. It was looked at those ways. We didn't have this idea of boundaries or things. We followed the seasons. We followed the fish, the deer, the birds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, so we traveled around in the seasonal cycle in terms of where the foodstuffs were,
Awesome.
as well as the areas that we grew our beans, our tobacco,
Mm-hmm.
our squash, those things.
And you're in the Missisquoi band, is that right?
No, I'm in the Nulhegan Coosuk.
Oh, okay. No, okay.
Right.
And that's northern Vermont, right? I mean, that's Petambak, is that right?
Yes, we're in the northeastern part of the state.
Okay.
Missisquoi is in the northwest.
Okay, right.
Alnu is central, and Cowes is southern Vermont.
So some of the folks here are from Springfield, Vermont, and so that would be the Coosuk, right? Yeah.
That would be closer to Alnu.
Oh, okay. Okay, Sharon is waving. Yeah, okay. Awesome. And some people are on the Connecticut River. And for me, my body of water is Petambak, is Lake Champlain. So can you give us a few more place names?
The Abenaki who lived in the Connecticut River Valley in the southeast, New Hampshire, what is now Vermont, also was Sokoka.
Sokoka.
Which meant the ones who lived in the southern Connecticut Valley.
Okay.
There were bands, family bands, groups that lived there. The others had distinct names. Where Petambak is the water that lies between
Lake Champlain. Yeah.
Lake Champlain. As an example, Missisquoi.
Okay.
Our language was written by the French Jesuits. Being like all native groups, we were oral traditions. Our language was spoken. We didn't have a way of writing it down. So they wrote down Missisquoi. The Abenaki word for that is Mazisquik, which means the place of flint and the grassy meadows. So with a French ear, they wrote down Missisquoi.
Okay.
It was easier for them to pronounce.
And I grew up on the Connecticut River down another part of the Algonquin people down in Connecticut, and I grew up learning that the word Connecticut means long river in Algonquin. Is that your understanding? Yes,
exactly. The rivers were important, especially this one, because it connected us north and south, whereas the St. Lawrence was east and west. So these were our highways. These were where we were able to trade and travel between family groups.
And I love Lake Champlain, Petambak, the water that lies between the Adirondack Mountains and what we call the Green Mountains. And that's just such a beautiful description of it. Yeah. So did you grow up speaking this language?
No, I was introduced to it through family members, and we didn't distinctly speak it at home, but they taught me prayers in terms of, this is how we do things at home. There's this is how you say your prayers,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how it started. And I understood that it was different growing up, just in terms of we were surrounded by Catholicism. So to me, being young and learning a Wabanaki prayer at home, and then going into that realm, I could see the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Culturally, it's a huge difference, but essentially that is how I was introduced to my roots and to the language.
Through the prayers. And then when later in the service, after we do our reflection, you're going to share some one of those prayers with us. So I'm really grateful, or the Oni, that you will share the prayer with us. So it's pretty cool. I mean, you grew up with some pressure to assimilate. And Charlie and I have been friends for, I don't know, like 20 years or something. We both had connections with the UU Church up in Burlington. And what you shared with me about your story, that there was so much pressure to assimilate, to hide, to hide your tradition. And you made the decision when you were fairly young to embrace it, to not try to fit in and be successful, and hide who you are. And it's made all the difference for you, hasn't it? Tell us a little bit about that, if you would.
Well, I don't know about success or not, but it just got to the point where our people had been hiding in plain sight for generations here in what is now Vermont. And uh, growing up, it was difficult in the sense that uh, as a parent, you always want the best for your children, a better opportunity, a better job, a better education, a better place to live. And culturally, I think that goes from culture to culture. So when I was growing up, it was like, even though my uncle Mike was a tribal judge with Missisquoi, when it came up at the dinner table about what people were doing, it was like, why are you hanging out with your drunken uncle? My aunt worked with plants as another example, and why are you talking to her? She's crazy. And it divided a lot of our families growing up. I don't see my situation as being unique. Um, uh, you know, my father went to World War II. When he came, my grandfather told him, he said, if we win this war, they're going to treat the veterans well. Don't come back here. They're going to treat you the same. You're in the wrong side of town, wrong side of the street. You're not going to get a good job. You're not going to get better housing. Nothing will change. So if you get the opportunity, leave here and have a better life.
Mm.
And my father went south, ended up in Mallett's Bay, just Colchester, just north of Burlington. The GE plant was the only place that was hiring veterans after the war. And that's how he started. And he understood his background. He understood being Wabanaki, but he kept it more to himself than being public about it.
Mm-hmm.
In order for us to have that opportunity that his father had spoken about, for better or for worse, this was the greater culture we live in, but we also had to think of a way to continue and survive.
And you made the choice. You had the courage to embrace your heritage.
I was one of a few people who decided to come forward. I mean, I worked with my Uncle Mike. I looked up case law in Washington, D.C. I lived there for 10 years. I learned a trade. And so I was able to, do things at certain times that I was asked to look into. And that's where it started for me. And as this continued, I figured, there's a way of dealing with things in an open society that could be helpful to us. And it did. In the beginning, for me, I think the biggest public thing that happened, we were arrested for fishing without a license up on the Missisquoi River. And a state judge, Wolchek, agreed that we had Aboriginal hunting and fishing rights. And that started a process.
Mhm.
And legally you build upon your victories. You're not going to get everything, certainly who you are and what you want overnight. It isn't going to happen. But what happened a year ago at the State House is that they passed a law recognizing our hunting and fishing rights. And the Vermont Commission on Native Affairs was there. Our chief, Don Stevens from the Nulhegan tribe, was there. Missisquoi members were there. Personally, for myself, it felt like it came full circle. From being arrested, from going through a court process, 30 years later, being recognized by the state of Vermont, our rights. And through that, they gave us free hunting and fishing licenses. And, it's a small victory, but it's a victory nonetheless.
Yes.
And it's a way to move forward within who we are and within the greater community's systems.
Easy. That's great. That's fabulous. That's wonderful. You know what? We're going to sing a song in a minute. It's called "The Road Not Taken," that Robert Frost poem. And we all have these junctures in our lives where we can decide which pathway to go down. And as a boy, as a young man, Charlie, you had a lot of pressure to go down the path of assimilation, and you chose the path less taken, and it has made all the difference for you. And how about for each of you, decisions that you have made in your life to take the path less trodden, or maybe you're at one of those junctures right now of what should I do, and pressure to assimilate, pressure to do what other people think is right versus what is your heart really telling you, and who are you really? How do you affirm who you really are? Maybe you're at one of those junctures now. So Orleone, for sharing your story, Charlie, and we're going to sing this. We're going to listen to Julaine and the virtual choir performing "The Road Less Taken" in honor of you, Charlie, and of all of the Abenaki, all of the Native people, and each of us who has had the courage at times to stand up for something that we believe on, not knowing where it would lead, but having the courage to do it. So we can all mute as we listen to this. Orleone. Thank you so much. That was gorgeous. Thank you to Julaine and the virtual choir for putting that together for us. So what's it all about, folks? Why are we here? Our doctrine is very, very simple. It's not some long, complicated theological argument. Our doctrine is love. That's what it comes down to. So join me, if you would, in reciting our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this community. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve the needs of all beings, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with the source of our being. Thank you. So let's continue our conversation, Charlie. I told you as we were getting ready for this service that this year we are doing a lot of work with Howard Thurman, who was the inspiration behind Martin Luther King Jr. John Lewis calls Howard Thurman the spiritual leader of the civil rights movement. So Howard Thurman said, do not ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive and go do that, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. So this year we are touching time and time again on this theme of what makes you come alive. Go do it. And when Howard Thurman is talking about this, he's not talking about just, oh, kind of what makes you happy. He's talking about something way deeper, something profound. And I have used the analogy of I have a light here, and when the light is plugged in to the electric power system, it comes on. And there's an electric power system, but there's another power system, which is the spiritual power system. And when we are plugged in to the spiritual power system, we light up, we come alive. So when Howard Thurman is talking about what makes you come alive, that's what he's talking about. He's asking, how do you plug in? You know, what makes you, how do you plug in to the spiritual power grid? What makes you come alive? Not what flavor ice cream do you like or something superficial, but what really connects you in a profound way so that you light up and you become a light in the world. And in the years that we have known each other, Charlie, I had the deep sense that you are a person for whom connecting with your native family tradition has made you come alive. And so that was one of the reasons why I reached out to you and asked you, could you be one of these people who shows us that this is what Thurman is talking about. Don't ask what the world wants. Ask yourself, what's it really about? What makes me come alive? And then have the courage to take the road less traveled sometimes and do it. So do you mind just sharing a little bit more about your story and how you made that choice and what made you come alive about all of this? It's a pretty amazing story you have.
I think it was a couple of things. Originally with family, I didn't take it as it was a division because of the way people talked. But it made me more curious, you know, as an adolescent, as a young man, about what were they talking about? Why were they saying these things against other relatives? And that just opened a door or a window for me to look at it, just to consider it. I mean, you know, what are people talking about? And once I looked at it, I realized that this is part of who I am. But looking around, I saw other Wabanaki, Abenaki people living in plain sight. They were acting the same way. We're not going to wear it on our sleeve. We're not going to talk about it. We know who we are, but we're going to fit in with a greater community here so that, you know, we are one with people, so that we're accepted. And that was the whole idea behind that. I really didn't think beyond getting involved until things changed on another level. A leader came around. It was Homer St. Francis in Missisquoi. My family's from Swanton originally, northwestern part of the state. And he was a voice in the wilderness when we probably needed one. There's a lot of controversy around him. He has passed on, but there's a lot of controversy about him in terms of the way he did things. Politically, you know, he didn't know the difference between a ball peen hammer and a sledgehammer. But he got who we were out into the public. Mm-hmm. He started that dialogue, and it didn't go away. People picked it up, and we're talking more about, well, you know, I live in the southern part of Vermont, and I'm Wabanaki, and it made other people, you know, think about themselves, who they were, how to relate to that. Time went on. From the hunting and fishing license that we received, The state Supreme Court decided otherwise. And it's a branch of government that is allowed to hear a brief and make legislation. And they basically said, by the weight of history, Wabanaki people do not exist. And we looked at each other and basically saying, I'm here. It's kind of, uh, uh, they were trying to say it probably in a legal sense, but we took it in another fashion. And over a period of years, we got recognition first from Governor Salmon, then Governor Snelling recognized us and then took it away by executive order. But in the meantime, we got the state to form a Vermont Commission on Native American Affairs just to further this conversation. And because of that work, I became involved politically. And I was one of many chairs of that commission in 2009 and 10, where we worked with the legislature and the chairs of the committees in particular. We decided to take the argument out of the public because there was a lot of negative things that were being said. Um, we're going to kick everybody out of their home and take the land back. We just want to open up casinos. All the negative things that you can think that are racially put upon original peoples. And so we decided to go just to work with the committees and bring it out of the public purview. And we hammered out a statute. I feel like, we got a slice out of the loaf of bread, but a slice is better than the crumbs or nothing. And it was a place to work upon again, to bring things about formally. So we went through the process of the criteria for tribal recognition in the state. And in that time, 4 tribes have been recognized. There is a criteria which we put together, which was recognizable by state government. We refused the federal overtures that have to do with who you are in terms of being on a tribal roll. All that they work with on the federal level is blood quota. And we don't agree with that. It's not the way we were culturally. With the mix of different original peoples nations around us, if you lived with a Wabanaki family group, band, or tribe, and you took on our customs, our language, at a certain point you were considered Wabanaki. It had nothing to do this concept of blood quota or who you were. So we made sure that that wasn't included in the state recognition process, so that family groups who are related to the original family units around the state could identify with that and would be accepted. The other thing that we had to come up with was a territory, geographical territory of what particular lands or areas that we were in. And we did that. It reversed that law by the state Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. We were able to come forward and say who we were. In 10 years' time, what's really happened, this evolution, if you will, is that, originally the first couple of years, we were looking at our leaders, our chiefs, if you will, our councils, our tribal councils, to start working more on who we were as a people, our culture, our traditions. And we waited and we waited. Our leadership worked more with the legislature, worked more with the tribal councils in terms of defining who we were, in terms of practices, legal, and those things. And over a 10-year period of time, a group of us, and we're represented in a new organization, which is a nonprofit. It is not a tribe, Alnobaiwi, which means the Abenaki way. And we're represented of people from the 4 recognized tribes. And we work just on culture and tradition. We do not work with tribal, city, state, or federal politics. Um, if we have nothing to pass on to our children, what have we accomplished?
Mhm.
Have we honored ourselves, myself today, and others who grew up hiding in plain sight? And this has developed well. We practice the seasonal ceremonies. The next one coming up for us is at the Wolf Moon, January 16th, where we honor our ancestors. And we have a ceremony, and we go around a circle in a room. And everybody who remembers an ancestor, it could be modern, it could be ancient, in their family, to carry on that tradition, to welcome them here with us on that basis. So these things continue, and it's gotten even more broader than that. Middlebury College for 2 years now has a language course during the summer for Wabanaki people. I was in the first one. Anybody can join it to learn Wabanaki or Algonquin language, and it's a place to go to for me, because there's I feel like I'm still growing up in that sense, knowing myself culturally. But these things are springing up. The Abenaki Artists Association is another example. They do all the basket work, the weaving, all of these types of things that were carried down in family lines. And it's and so we're finding places where we can continue who we are, work on who we are as a culture, and bring that forward. Um, we're doing this now. More so, we're trying it with Burlington right now.
Mhm.
Uh, Palatine is the word for Burlington. It means,
Palatine?
yeah, Palatine. It
Palatine? I
means
didn't know
it
that.
means that it means the high white crested wave.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Before they had a breakwater, you have open water 10, 12 miles between us and the other side. And so when a storm from the west grew up, the waves got high. So our family units and trading partners from Odanak and Quebec and other places had to stop in places like Powidahozi, which is Mallets Bay.
Mhm.
And then when the storm broke, they could come into Burlington. That's how it got its name. They couldn't come in during a storm.
Uh-huh.
And
When you and I were talking about making the plans for this, one of the things that you said about what makes you come alive is sort of connected to what you're saying about coming for a circle, that you see now people, maybe younger people who have Abenaki heritage, who are out there with it, not, not feeling so reticent, hidden in plain sight, as you said. That must just feel great, that all these more than 30 years of work that you have done have helped open the door. And I can see where that would really make you come alive, to feel that opening with that. That's beautiful.
it's an affirmation. It's a personal affirmation. Um, Politically, it may not work so well, but that's another story. And um, what it's done is that it allows other people to come forward and say, I'm Wabanaki too. It's part of my family, whether you were tribally affiliated or not. It allows people to do that, to look into their background. And I'm saying this in a way that, it doesn't matter your background. Everybody should be proud of who they are culturally, and to be able to make that decision about what is positive for them and how you want to carry it. And you see, this changed for us in 2010 with state recognition. It ended the argument in terms of the state's eyes about who was Wabanaki and who was not. It allowed us to coassess in tribes again, and that was the difference. Um, Before that, we were hiding in plain sight still. In 2010, even during the recognition process of the legislature, the Attorney General basically said, there are no Abenaki people here. And that was the narrative in the state history books up until that time, that we did not exist here, that this was open land for the taking. And it was farthest from the truth. And we prevailed in that. So now this evolution is continuing in terms of our story coming out. Place names, the examples that I just gave you about Mallett's Bay and Burlington. What I've said to people and other organizations is, as an example, wherever you live in the state, know the territory of the tribe you're in. And I said this at the NOFA conference, the New England Organic Farmers Association. You have a sign up on your locavore farm, Blueberry Hill, and your name. Next to it, put down territory of the tribe you're in geographically. What does that do? People go by and, oh, what's this? It begs a question. Questions start conversations. And this is what we're doing. We're going to eventually rewrite ourselves into the Vermont history books about what happened, and try and do it in a balanced way. That's what Alnobaiwi is striving to do. We came to the Intervale in Palatine, Burlington, and it's the Ethan Allen Homestead. And when we decided to go there to start our operation, many tribal people were chagrined by this. You're going into the belly of the beast. You're not going to be welcome there. It's going to cause conflict. And that's not what we went there to look for. We looked for a partnership with them. And they were showing the colonial days, Ethan Allen, his family. And we said, we're part of that. Let's enrich ourselves. And we've done that. We've helped them stay open in terms of revenue from tourists. We're able to start our own programs, which are enriching ourselves, other tribal members, and the public. And if we continue in that way, I think things can grow from there.
That's so beautiful.
Hopefully be a benefit to everybody.
Yeah. So if anybody's traveling to Palatine, to Burlington, Vermont, you can pop in and visit Untitled, the Abenaki Way, this nonprofit that Charlie was one of the people who helped get going. It is the recipient of our Share the Plate this month. Every month we choose a nonprofit and encourage people to donate to that nonprofit. So the Untitled is the cultural. I really appreciate the distinction you've made. There's a lot of work that's been done on the political side of recognition and all of that, but then there's the other piece of the sustaining of the culture, as you and I talked beforehand about connecting with ancestors and connecting with the environment. The Untitled, the Abenaki Way. So you've got your hand in both dimensions of promoting that. So I really want to encourage people to visit at some point up there. And so Deb is putting into the chat box more information there about it, and we encourage you to make a donation this month if you're so inclined to support that.
You can look it up on the website, alnobaiwi.org.
Yeah, I think it's in the chat box. Yep. Excellent. Yeah, so check it out. You know what I would love to do, Charlie, is let's share some of the prayers. Each time I have heard you say these prayers, I just get chilled, and it's so, the connection is so, I'm just going to get teary-eyed. It's so beautiful. It's so deep. I feel the connection with this land that I'm standing on, and with all that has transpired here. When you say these prayers, they're so powerful. So if you would be willing to share that with us, it would be a great honor.
All right, this is this was a prayer that we use for our ancestors. And it was first, I knew about it, and it was first shown to me by another Abenaki, who, when I asked him about it, he was grateful and translated it for me. So even in prayers, I'm hoping that I pronounce a lot of these words correctly. Nikawaske Gisina Winyamak, Guyana Baskawa, Ikawaskini, Ikawana, Gia de Sawasi, Guyana, Anamak, Wanamak, Itinina, Wataizi, Anamak, Diizi, Wana, Eda, Bagawas, Ikasawani, Baskiwani, Tobacco, Mia Skuya Gasi, Lawa Denma, Intana, Idonamo, Bagawasi, Gichi Wadini, Ladoma, Anonadia, Gia, Giawaske, Neogasa, Ika, Ibaraka, Iwanamak, Igasawak Zik. Prayer to our ancestors. Great Spirit, Creator, Old One, Batskawastik, Tabaldak, Old One, Creator. Weenie and Weenie, thank you. Grandmothers, grandfathers, we come back to honor you, your children. We, your people, have forgotten, and we ask forgiveness, for we not have come back for many years. Ancestors, we remember and honor you. If you would please accept this tobacco offering. Thank you very much. Please forgive us. We make peace. I am sorry if we made a mistake and have forgotten to honor someone. And that's the basis of an honoring ceremony to our ancestors. And we usually do similar things to that at least 4 times a year. And I'm grateful for this opportunity to express that. Oh, I agree.
Orleone, Charlie, that's so powerful, so moving. Wow. Let's just hold a moment of silence and just take all that in. And you're welcome to focus on your breath if it helps you to just breathe and feel it. If you're not in Vermont, wherever you are, feel the connection with the land, with the people who have gone before you, wherever you are.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that silence. I would like to invite everybody to unmute if you choose to do so, and to say hello to Charlie. You can say "Kwe Kwe," and if you want to express your gratitude to Charlie, you could say "Orleone." Or if you plan to go up to Palatine, to Burlington, and visit Untitled, you could shout out Untitled, whatever. So, or if you prefer English or some other language, go for it. So you're welcome to unmute yourself. Kwe Kwe, Kwe Kwe.
Quay, 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 Charlie.
Orleone, Charlie.
Orleone.
And
Quay, quay.
Live long and prosper.
And anybody planning to go to visit Untitled?
Touche.
Untitled, yes. Itzi, this has been great. This has been truly great. to hear
Itzi,
what you have to
Itzi.
offer us. Thank you, Orleone, Charlie. Thank you so much. So Julaine and the virtual choir have prepared a beautiful, beautiful song to lead us toward our closing. So the rest of us can mute. If you've unmuted, you can mute again, and we will hear Return Again. Or Leone to Julaine and the virtual choir for doing that for us. If you have found community here, treasure it. If you have found challenge here, I hope you have. Go and sit quietly with whatever's stirring in your heart. And if you have found hope here, bring it out to our beautiful and bruised world that needs you. You return to the home of your soul. You true to what makes you come alive. May it be so. Blessed be. Charlie, would you share the word, the Wabanaki word for goodbye with us?
Abenaki word for goodbye. You know, it's a different word because, you know, we don't really have a word for goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
We usually say Olibam Kani.
Olibam Kani.
And it means I'll see you again.
Okay. And how about the one, and it's escaping me at the moment, that means be happy, go and be happy.
Oh, that would be Powidahozi.
Powidahozi. How is it translated?
It translates to think and be very happy.
Powidahozi. Think and be very happy. What a perfect way to end this service. Think and be very happy, everyone. Powidahozi. Would you say it again?
Powidahozi.
Powidahozi.
Think and be very happy.
Sort of like that, huh? Sort of like live long and prosper. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you and I were preparing this service, you said one of the messages that you wanted to convey is how much more alike we are than different, you know? So yeah, Powidahozi to everyone.